It's Thursday night. It's 25 minutes after 9 Eastern Daylight Time.
Right, which means it's 6:35 in Baltimore. No, 6:35 in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me. And
I get these cities confused sometimes.
as we all do.
Yeah.
And I'm Joe Cioffi, Fios 1 News, Long Island and New Jersey.
And Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley.
And if you are a Fios 1 Long Island and New Jersey tonight, you'll see our anchor Courtney Kane, who's actually watching the show, watching this show, even as we speak. She just lives by our every breath here.
Why can't we ever get her to appear on Joe and Joe?
Well, we can if she can Skype from the other room, and we can bring her in.
Physically bring her in.
Oh, well, she's getting ready for she's doing the 10 o'clock.
Well, all right.
We'll figure it out. Oh, she had some ice cream. Did you get it from the freezer in the kitchen? Because there was butter pecan, chocolate, vanilla, French vanilla, and then some mint thing that I'm not a fan of. So we've got folks joining on tonight. Ice cream, a good idea in this kind of summery weather pattern that we're in. Humidity was reasonably low today.
Yeah.
Probably will be okay tomorrow too.
Right. The Joe Rayo Frizz Index tomorrow is 5 on a scale of 0 to 10. So we'll be verging on mugginess, but
not quite there.
Not quite
Saturday
there.
and Sunday look more humid to me and to you too, I'm sure. You know, might there be a thunderstorm Saturday night? It's another one of these systems that, you know, looks like it might happen, and then it always they may wind up falling apart before it gets here. Who knows? But it's worth putting it in. We're kind of, Joe, I don't know how you feel about this. I guess because we're at that point in the month of July, we're going into the peak time of the summer in terms of temperatures. To be quite honest, from a standpoint of weather, there really isn't all that much happening.
Right. I just mentioned a few moments ago...
for us, anyway.
Right. I just mentioned a few moments ago to one of our news anchors, Mike Gilliam, that this has been an interesting summer in that we've had a little of everything for everybody. If you're a fan of heat and humidity, you've certainly had your fair share. But if you're also a fan of days like, well, case in point today, where the humidity is not overly high and it's nice and bright and sunny, you've had a fair number of those kind of days too. So... it's not like one of those summers where, you know, you get hazy, hot, and humid every single day, or periods of rain and drizzle and, you know, that kind of stuff every single day. It's been a very, very, you know, it's been a little for a little
bit for everybody, and right now, a lot of the area, not all, a bit on the dry side,
right?
Especially on Long Island, it's gotten quite dry. I thought, Joe, pull up the wide tropical satellite here so we could see going all the way out toward the African coast. And what really stands out, well, two things. That grayish shading of the Saharan dust,
right,
which really is extensive and has actually been responsible for taking a couple of tropical waves coming off the African coast and just ripping them apart. The other thing is this. I mean, that's a monstrous upper low, and it goes way up in the atmosphere. That's sitting, it covers almost most of the southeast Atlantic there.
Now, you don't often see that. I mean, what we're accustomed to seeing at this particular time of the year is what we call the intertropical convergence zone, where it's like a belt of locally strong showers and storms extending from off of the African coastline, and that's where we get these tropical waves, which may eventually develop into a tropical cyclone.
And just to the south of there, you actually do see those those waves, but that big upper low is
that's something else. It's a weird thing to see at this time of the year.
Well, and it's creating very strong winds aloft, so these waves are not developing. But this is only July 12th. A couple of weeks from now, we could have a whole different picture out here.
Yeah.
We did notice that the ocean water temperatures in the tropical Atlantic seem to be warming up closer to normal now. So we've gone from being several degrees below average to pretty close to average. So this may be mitigating what a few people were talking about earlier of a subnormal Cape Verde season if the trend of that warming water continues.
Yeah, you just knew though that it wasn't going to stay, you know, overly cold or well below normal. You knew that eventually it was going to start coming back, be it at the middle part of the summer or the latter part of the summer. And midsummer, by the way, is a couple of weeks away, actually. It'll be around the 4th or 5th of August. So I don't know where this summer's going, but it's just rolling along very, very quickly.
Yeah, and by the way, as far as the tropics are concerned, the only thing that really is of minor interest off the East Coast, extending from east of the Bahamas out over past Bermuda, the remnants of Beryl are still around, and this still could regenerate over the weekend into something, but it's going to get picked up and kicked out to the northeast anyway. So it's not going to be any factor in our weather.
Just a moot point, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll go from there. The only other thing that's happening that I thought was interesting, we talked about this last night, is the mess in the southwest on the radar here as it's loading up. But I mean, this is the monsoon going on, and I pulled up some temperature and dew points. You remember a couple of weeks ago when we had the heat, and Las Vegas was 110 with a dew point of 1,
right?
And the relative humidity was 2%.
Yeah.
Well, earlier today, around 1 o'clock their time, it was 93 with a dew point of 65.
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing. Imagine going from that bone dry. Not that it happened over 24 hours, right, but the fact that if you live in an environment where you're used to relative humidities being very, very low, that dew point of 65 can't feel good at all.
What is it now? 55 or 60?
65.
65.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Let me.
That's people out there are like saying, well, where are we, Las Vegas or Miami Beach,
right.
Houston?
Well, and they got some. They've had flash flood watches and flash flood warnings. I just want to see what Las Vegas is right now. We could bring it up for everybody. Actually, for Las Vegas, it's 86, and the dew points dropped to 59.
Right.
So it's not quite as bad. The humidity at 40%. This is kind of like what we had. Well, our dew points were actually even a bit lower than that today. So we were actually less humid than Las Vegas.
We would speak of a day like today here as kind of like a dry heat. But if you're so accustomed to dew point temperatures and relative humidity so far down as they usually are in Las Vegas, a day like today, it still felt like being down by the Gulf Coast, relatively speaking.
Well, and going forward, Joe, I really don't see too much, on the models. We've got this weak front on Saturday that just kind of falls apart when it's on top of us. So maybe there's a shower or thunderstorm Saturday night in some places, but I think the daytime looks fine. I think we may be dry for most of the area up until at least 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then that goes by. Sunday is very warm to hot. Some places will probably get to 90 or a little better. Same for Monday. Although the wind is more south-southwest on Monday, so it does. I don't think we're going to see ridiculously hot numbers. And then Tuesday, here comes a cold front with some chance for some showers and storms later in the day, the Tuesday night, and then it looks like another shot of dry air for a couple of days, and then next weekend maybe we'll get into more humid weather with the chance for some showers and storms. So it just kind of rolls along here.
And it's been a fast flow. That's what it has been all summer long, even from mid to late spring. Things have just kept on moving. The only exception to that might be what we had around the beginning of July, the 4th of July, when we had that big ridge.
That 8-day stretch, but that was an exception to the overall pattern.
An anomaly.
Right.
And it's still not out of the question we might see something like that again, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening in the immediate future. I'll be interesting to see tomorrow. It's Friday, and it's also the day when the Climate Prediction Center puts out their experimental. I'm wondering when they're finally going to say this is not experimental anymore. It's been like over a year.
I don't know.
But 3 to 4 week prognosis taking us into mid-August. And I've been looking at their 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day outlooks, and they're showing more and more toward the end of the month and into the beginning of August. This huge outbreak of much cooler air pouring out of central Canada and covering a fair amount of the eastern central states. So it'll be interesting to see how what they say as far as that as we move into August, mid-August maybe. We'll see.
Well, I just happened to pulled up this one of the climate models. Sometimes these work and sometimes these don't. The CFSV, I think this is a Canadian product. This is for July 19th to 26th. It looks like mostly average. From the 26th to 2nd of August, looks like near average. The week after that, 2nd to the 9th, near average. The week after that, a shade above average. No real extremes here on this model. And let's see.
Notice Hudson Bay is so purple.
Yeah, I wonder why. If you want to look at these monthlies, which, you know, I really don't have too much use for these things, to tell you the truth. August.
Let's see.
Look at September. This is interesting. A large part of the East, Midwest, and Plains below average. Is this September here? I just want to make sure. Yeah, for September. October near average. And of course, as we approach the winter, November above, December above, January near average, February below, March way above. I mean, of course, this is a 9-month forecast. Okay, what did I just say a few minutes ago? I have no use for this stuff. I really don't. This is why this is one huge reason why I just can't deal with the long range stuff. It's just why, why am I looking at something, a model with a 9-month forecast outlook or 10 months from now? Why do I care? I don't. It does nothing for me.
If you have somebody who's getting married 9 months from now, they'll want to know what it's going to be like.
Oh, and as if, I mean, what are you going to tell them off that map? You can't tell them anything of value. See, that's always been my argument, Joe, with respect to the long range stuff, and that is this. Look, if you're an oil trader, okay, if you work for an energy company and you're trying to make decisions about buying and selling and hedging heating oil, as an example, if you're a farmer. And a few other industries that we could pepper along the way in this discussion. That makes sense to me. Okay, you might want to have an edge if you need to, if cooler or warmer conditions are going to require you to hedge a position that you made. That makes sense to me.
Right.
But for the average person, what are you going to do if it's a colder winter than average? You're going to sell your house? I mean, I don't know.
And the last few years we've had our really big storms in months where the temperatures have gone off up to the roof.
So again, that's my point. It's like,
so you really can't say just because it's cold it's going to be snowy. Just because it's warm we're not going to get any stuff. You can't say that. It's the patterns are just too complex.
Derek Rentschler what does it look for rain in Lebanon County in Pennsylvania for the next week or so? It's sure getting dry. Not a whole lot of opportunities, although next week, when we get to later Sunday and Monday, for you anyway, you might bubble up some storms later Sunday and Monday in the afternoon and evening, and for sure on Tuesday, I think, when that cold front arrives. So you may have your chances as you go further inland.
Right. Tuesday, I think, would be the day. Put your bet on Tuesday. I mean, as Joe mentioned, there'll be other chances, but I mean, your best shot looks like it's going to be Tuesday of next week.
Okay, I guess Tony DeLuca and Courtney Kane are battling over who's going to eat all the mint ice cream. You can have all you want because I can't stomach it, so I'm not doing it. And of course, our directors and the audio ops are all jumping in tonight. Alex Colon feels the need to tell us that he's lactose intolerant. Well, he left out a word.
Yeah.
I'm lactose. Can I still eat ice cream? You know what? If you are, Alex, go ahead. Be my guest. Enjoy yourself. Finish it. You ought to feel good over the next few days. Don't you have a little traveling to do? Anyway, let's see. Angry Ben worrying about the Flat Earth Society. Can a big upper low, David Schwartz, thank you for something meaningful here. Can a big upper low sitting over the warm tropical water become a surface low tropical? Not that one that we showed you. Okay.
A little bit on the large
Chris, part of Chris came out of an upper low. That one goes way up at in the atmosphere. Those cold upper lows create shearing environments. you have to get those to literally just either move out of the way or weaken, and oftentimes they tend to hang around a lot longer. Models don't always seem to handle them too well. They like to get rid of them, and they take forever sometimes to go away. Let's see, Christopher Hadgkiss, having a fishing event this weekend in eastern Connecticut, Long Island Sound. How is that storm named Chris? Chris is gone. So are you going out into the open ocean, or are you going to just keep it on the sound side? Because Chris, if you keep it on the sound side, I think you should be okay. It might still be a little wavy. Plus, there's going to be another low that might or might not be the remnants of Beryl out at about 65 west or so. That could ripple up the water a little bit, but the Chris effect is going to diminish tonight and Friday. It's already past Newfoundland and going goodbye. So from that standpoint, I think you're going to be okay.
And Christopher mentioned a fishing event. I'm not sure if this is done anymore, but there was a radio station way back, like 20 or 30 years ago, that had a big annual fishing event in the summertime. They would tag one single fish. They would put a special tag on the fish, let it go, and then if they had the weekend of fishing, and if you came back with the fish and the tag, you won $1 million.
Oh, nice. Where did they throw the fish with the tag in the middle of the Atlantic?
I know. I think it's...
Has anybody ever collected?
I don't remember. I think the station was in Bridgeport, WICC. I don't know if they still do that, or... I definitely know that they did. I think they did that like 20, 30 years ago, and it was very popular. So if anybody in Connecticut remembers that and wants to chime in, maybe, who knows, there might be a fish out there with your name on it, Joe.
Well, if it's $1 million, I don't know. Tony DeLuca wants me to circumvent the issue. That's his favorite word. That's his word of the day, is circumvent. Right. Are you happy now, Anthony? I'm just trying to see what else we got for questions. Daniel Kirby. Yeah, he's in the he's Johnny Quest on my YouTube channel, and he got another 4 inches of rain last night on top of the 45 or 50 that he's had in the last 7 or 8 weeks. I mean, he's just going insane with all the rain there.
Christopher came back and said, yes, they still do WICC, that $1 million catch of the day or catch of the weekend or whatever. So
was that what it was? WICC?
I think it's WICC. The WICC is not a big station, although Dan Ingram, the late great Dan Ingram, was there near the beginning of his career. It's not a big. I think it's only like 500 watts or 1,000 watts, but it's a very localized, station that has a lot of power, so to speak, a large listenership, and hey, look, if they can back a contest and have $1 million behind it, it's a pretty good station.
Paul Chicky asking about
Chicky baby.
Yes,
Chicky.
About outdoor party for next Saturday, because he and I were talking about this the other day. If it times out the way things are happening, Paul, the end of next week will be much like the end of this week, and next weekend might be a lot like this weekend in that we would be getting warmer and more humid. The only question is next weekend that there might be more energy swinging around out of Canada, so it could mean for perhaps a better chance for thunderstorms. But before I just ruin your entire party, just remember, Long Island is in that thunderstorm drought, and we're also 9 days away.
Right.
So I could give you that general answer now. Why don't we wait till we get into early next week to figure out the specifics? And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, no, somebody else just mentioned too. It was and Walt DeVanis. Walt DeVanis in the early '60s was on WCBS. Before Gordon Barnes, it was Walt DeVanis. Then he moved to WICC, and I had the great pleasure and privilege to fill in on a few occasions for Walt DeVanis. I used to do WICC on a standby or a backup basis. So, so that brings back some memories for me.
Awesome.
But
yes, David Schwartz, go to the beach on Sunday. You're fine.
Incidentally, next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, if you're in the vicinity of Putnam Valley, the Putnam Valley German American Club is having their big German fest. If you like beer, if you like good German food, bratwurst or any kind of wurst, come to this. And music too. Liverwurst too, and a lot of great German music as well. They have it all under a big tent. at Kramer's Pond Road in Putnam Valley. I only say all of this because my wife is one of the directors and one of the people promoting that event. She's now, looking anxiously at the weather maps for 9 days out to make sure that it's a good weather weekend for that event. So
okay, well, I'm trying to think if I got anything going on. I don't know. Somebody did ask me if I was going fluke fishing this weekend. It's not on my list of things to do at the moment. Let's see. Danny Nankamar, Lonnie Quinn from CBS said a heat wave is coming. You need 5 consecutive days of heat. Okay, but well, we've discussed that rule about that the Weather Service with the 5 days versus the 3 days. Joe and I are 5-day fans. The Weather Service standard is now, they lowered it to 3 days. I'm not 100% understanding what you're saying because I don't.
We're certainly not going to get a 5-day heat wave.
No, of 90 or higher 5 days in a row for most of this area. I doubt that. The first day of 90 will be Sunday, and then you'll probably be in some places and maybe in a few more places on Monday. But that may be it. It may only be 2 days. I mean, that's
right.
That's kind of how I see it.
Right.
Brian Phillips giving you a big cheer for the German Fest.
German Fest. It's actually the German Fest, and then we have an Oktoberfest in September. So
awesome. All right, you know what? Let's call it a night. It's 9:47. I'm at the top of the hour. FiOS 1 News, Long Island and New Jersey,
and FiOS 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley for me. And in the morning, we'll have Chief Meteorologist Brian Fitzgerald and Jeff Banson,
who is rooting for Croatia on Sunday in the World Cup, as am I. And we Brittany Borer and Addison Green on in the afternoon. Joe and I will be back tomorrow night.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. You know what?
Pizza day.
It is pizza day, and since it's Friday, if the weather's calm, you and I may take the night off here.
It's also Friday the 13th.
Oh, Jesus. Didn't we have another one this year also?
Yeah, we did.
There's been a couple.
You have a maximum of 3, but the calendar has to have this special
thing going
to get 3. Usually 2.
All right, have a great evening, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Maybe.
Maybe.